Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. In this episode, I'll be discussing the 1987 storybook fantasy comedy, The Princess Bride, as directed by Reiner and as adapted by William Goldman from his 1973 novel of the same name. So, The Princess Bride is told to us like a fairy tale passed down generation after generation, when a grandad, as played by Columbo himself, Peter Falk, is called upon to look after his sick grandson, as played by none other than Fred Savage. The grandfather wishes to tell his grandson a tale of old, of mystery, suspense, of love and romance. The kid is none too bowled over, however, not by the prospect of love and romance, but agrees to listen to the promise of some top-tier action, swordplay and heroism. We then enter this story world and join Wesley and Buttercup, as played by Cary Elwes and Robin Wright, respectively, who form a love that is hot and romantic right from the very start. But tragedy strikes, or so it would seem, and it is assumed Wesley has died. Some years later, Buttercup is then betrothed to Prince Humperdinck, as played by Chris Sarandon, in what would be a loveless marriage. Fate intervenes, however, and Buttercup is kidnapped by a band of lovable and hapless thugs, some of the most entertaining and lovable you'll ever meet, kind of intent on using her to start a war with the neighbouring province. So then starts a daring and heroic journey by her long-lost love, Wesley, back from the dead, so to speak, after spending a number of years training as the notorious pirate, Dread Pirate Roberts, that's it, to rid Buttercup of her captors and free her from marrying Humperdinck. Thwarted at every turn, but making some new friends along the way, Wesley proves that no matter how inconceivable it might seem, true love can conquer all, and that he would do anything for his one and only Buttercup. So, I had indeed thought that I had seen this movie before, but it turned out that I hadn't. There would be no way that I would forget a film like this. And in that, I had an absolutely excellent time with it. It is always a bonus, especially when you've seen as many films as I have, when you come across such a great film that you haven't yet seen, but thought you had, you know? And that in that, indeed, this was an absolutely fantastic film. I was expecting more of a kind of a Dark Crystal kind of romancing the stone style adventure, given the film's title. But what I wasn't expecting was just how much of a comedy it actually was. This did throw me a little bit at first, I must admit. But once I got into its very unique style and very quirky humour, I was absolutely well away. Right from the start, when we meet the kid and his grandpa, you get the film's tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic style straight away. The kid, reluctant to hear the story, thinking it's going to be the next Mills and Boone, has some great banter with his grandpa, who gives as much and as good as he gets. Peter Falk is absolutely excellent here, although I was expecting him to go on full-on Columbo, at certain points. They really did make an excellent comedy duo and really did set the scene nicely, I think, for what was about to unfold. Then we enter the story where everything is extremely theatrical, and the characters are overcooked, but so much so in the best way possible. We have an absolutely fantastic cast in this, and we get such an energised and enthused performances from everybody involved, which really does cement, as the centrepiece for this entire movie. It has a fantastic sense of wild adventure, but it is the characters in this and their interactions that make this movie what it is. I mean, it's about the only place I've ever seen, I ever know, where a sword fight to the death ends up in the two participants dishing out compliments to each other like they were sweets. Such gentlemen. It was so inconceivable. In terms of adventure, they never really leave their own backyard, so to speak. And in it all, they just seem to go around in this big circle. But the investment in the larger-than-life and fantastic characters we meet along the way in this journey makes that journey more than worthwhile. The whole movie is done in the most politest of ways that I have ever seen. Even when people are being tortured, they are asked to give their feedback for product development. It's simply mad in this respect, but it works so well. The comedy is fueled by the way these characters present themselves. I can't stress that enough. And the dialogue and the banter that they have with each other, for sure, you know? It's not slapstick. It's not crude. It is simply a great play on words throughout. It is full of sarcastic wit, observational humour, and totally done just so tongue-in-cheek, but then played so straight down the line like a Shakespearean play. It is almost a parody of itself. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but it is acted that way, you know, and therein lies the fun, I think. It is a bit tacky in places, I'm not going to lie, you know, 1980s, almost like it's been done on a budget, or perhaps made to feel like that, perhaps, but affectionately so, and with a total love for the genre. It has, I thought, quite kind of a different vibe for the kind of parody it was trying to be. Sort of what you might get, I think, if you crossed a Monty Python with a carry-on. But it's not cheesy as a result, or at least I didn't think so. Just absolutely tremendous fun. And for as funny as the movie is, it is actually quite romantic. In its own way, of course. But right from the very start, you know, it builds up this passion for Wesley's and Buttercup's relationship, such as to get us invested right in them, you know, right from the off. We're rooting for them all the way to the end. Overall, this is an absolutely awesome storybook-style comedy adventure, full of love, romance, dastardly deeds, mystery, fencing, cads, heroes, villains, quests, and revenge. It really does sample a little bit of everything from the genre. Columbo wasn't kidding. You know, we even get some hints of magic thrown in for good measure. It has a distinct comedic edge, whilst also being quite romantic, all told. It isn't full of cheap puns or over-the-top slapstick. The comedy is pretty much on the level and relies on dialogue, its characters, and how they are portrayed, you know, rather than using visual gags. It is my kind of comedy through and through. I was chuckling all the way. Once I'd kind of realised that it was indeed supposed to be a comedy, you know? It is one of those films that ends and you know you've just had such a great time with it, you know? Just how good this film actually is simply inconceivable. So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having you here at SciFirst MovieTalk, and we would definitely love to have you back. But most of all, just thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.